have a few minutes to ourselves before.
Yeah.
So, there we go. Actually, yeah. Yay. Okay, so we are live now, and we are recording. So, okay. And here we go. Alright, we're live.
Yes. Greetings, everyone. With us here today, or welcome to the GTA Work in podcast. And with us we have Adrian, who is one of our, actually we're all GTA admins, but Adrian doing double duty, not only talking, but he's going to be doing all the AV and audio stuff. It's usually an adventure for us anyway. And we also have Jason, and I am Matt, and unfortunately I have one night in Bangkok stuck in my head. It's a pain, so don't worry about it.
Well then.
Anywho, today we're going to be talking about our previous projects, specifically we're going to take a closer look at some of our older projects, but also talk about future projects, what we do, how we paint, how we build, and so on and so on. And we're going to start off with Jason, so take it over.
Okay, so a project that I've done and I'm happy with, but always room for improvement, is I guess we could still say it's the new dagger, HG dagger.
Dagger L, I believe.
Yes, new HG dagger L. It's still pretty new.
And I have we
Currently
just put a
on
picture of
the-
it up on the
Yes.
up on screen.
But currently we are having that contest for the Dagger Elves, and I thought I'd contribute. This is my contribute to it. It's pretty much just kit bash, right? Simple kit. I did add some panel lines to it. I would say my only gripe about what I could have done better was the panel lines themselves. Maybe add more, because it's a grunt suit, so we know they don't really come with the most detail on them. So my goal for this kit was to add detail. I think I've accomplished that, but at the same time, there's always room for more. Just because, again, bear kit, right? Grunt unit. So there's a lot of clean parts, right? And I would say the same gripe I have with another kit that I built, which was the double O riser. So this kit, it is a huge kit. So there was a lot of panel lining opportunities here, but I think it just came down to just wanting to finish the project. And I don't know if you guys ever have that where you start the project with the most enthusiasm. You just, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You do one arm, right, of this extra detail stuff, and you're just like, I'm ready to finish this kit. He just, and that's what happened here, where I built it, right, as a straight build, see what I can do. I immediately grabbed knee pads, certain arm pieces and whatnot, and I modified them right away, and it looked good. Painted it up, it still looked good, but now that it's a finished product, you're kind of standing back and I could have done that better, or I could have put more detail into this. It's one of those situations.
Yeah, well, this also doesn't really, I don't think, matches for the double O anyway. It doesn't match the style that you've adopted for the past couple of years as well, right?
Yeah. Now,
Right.
because it was more like a showpiece, I just wanted to do a clean build.
Yeah.
I wasn't as good as I am now, and potentially could be better. But when it comes to appreciating, I wasn't as good back then. So you stuck to what you knew, right, and what was comfortable with, because it's a PG.
Yeah, definitely.
Not really that much experimenting you want to do with a PG. I say that, but the PG I'm working on right now, I ripped apart the chest so much.
Well, there you go. That's growth, right?
Yeah. But back then it was more like I wanted to do this project, but I wasn't confident enough to experiment with it.
And that's part of the burnout, or what can get you to the point of burnout with a project. If you're, like, as you say, lacking confidence or something along those lines, that makes you feel, or brings like negative feelings into your work, and then or into this situation, and you kind of run away from it then, and that's
Mhm.
the burnout, or it can be just different forms.
Yeah, there's that, or you start doing it and then come to a point where you're just like, I don't like the way it's going, or I don't like the way it's looking,
Mhm.
and that could be, instead of okay, let me try something different, is let me give up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or let me, or the thing, or the more common is let me come back to it when I'm feeling a lot more confident or I'm
Yes.
feeling up to the task.
Yes, yes.
But it never happens.
Yeah.
What is the
Right.
thing? Like for me,
I
I
still have
get
people like
scared.
that.
I get terrified because I'm just like, okay, what happens if I forget what I did before and I messed
Exactly,
up more?
like
So I
paint
do
ratios,
try
right?
Notes.
Yeah.
Where's my? Well, anyway, somewhere around here,
Yeah.
I've got a little notebook that
Yeah.
every project is sort of written up, and I have one on my computer too.
Yeah.
But that's usually just the project ideas. I have like a
Yeah.
little paragraph as to what I want to do, and those ideas often develop and evolve over time. Just like
Mhm.
one of my biggest problems is I've got sort of the opposite problem. It's not that. How I can do something different or whatever. I start with something and I say, oh, I could add this and oh, and this and add and add and add, and it just starts. It's not even boiling out of the cauldron. It's exploding out of the cauldron, and the 1 week project turns into 2 weeks to 3 months, and then oh, it's a new competition, new something is coming. I guess I'll put this aside and start the new thing.
Yeah, that's one of the things I fear though, because it's awesome when you have ideas about a project.
Mhm.
It's terrifying when you have too many ideas
Mhm.
about a project and
Yes.
you're trying to make them all work.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
That's one of the things that scare me because what I like you may not like.
Yeah.
Right?
No, but no. You should never
Mhm.
think about that. It's you build for yourself in the end. Sometimes
Yeah.
we get trapped into the we want to enter competition, we want to win that competition or
Mhm.
something along those lines. So we try to please the audience or at least the judges,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
it still has to. You're number one. This is your
Mhm.
hobby. It's you're doing it to have fun.
Yeah, you're not
Yeah.
doing it
Yeah.
like as a business where or something else where it just sucks the fun out of it, right? Like, what's the point of building something cool? You get a cool medal, or you get some reward, but is it really worth all that time and effort if you don't like
Yeah.
the thing itself, right?
And you get wrapped up emotionally in the desire to win, and you just become a crabby bastard, and you're not even fun at the shows.
Yeah, and
Oh,
start
I was supposed to
critiquing
win.
stuff
Yeah.
and yeah.
Actually, that funny enough you bring that up because this is probably another topic for another time. But
Mm.
when it comes to, I guess, criticism
Mhm.
in the community,
Mhm.
right? That's something that's kind of either gone either really rampant or tame, depending on what groups you talk to,
Yes.
Yes.
right? And
Like our
that's like,
group, we try to have people talk about if
Mhm.
there's any criticism, it's constructive, and we
Mhm.
all notice that there isn't a lot of criticism in our group.
Mhm.
I'm one of the ones that probably comes out the most and says, "Oh, try this," or I don't think that's not even criticism.
constructive. It's usually
Yeah,
constructive.
but
I
it's not
think
even criticism. It's just suggestions,
Yeah.
which I guess is a
I
good
think
thing.
it's a social behavior thing as well because when and it also ties into what you want to show or to the general public, right? Because a lot of people they don't want to show their stuff out because they're afraid of it being criticized in certain ways, right?
Oh yeah.
Whereas, realistically, like a lot of us, when we look at a piece, usually we'd go, oh, maybe there's something I would do different, but we usually just shut up about it because, it's not our place, right? Unless the creator of the project actually requests it. So. Yeah. So do you want to take another look and dive right into your actual pieces and like stuff from me and Matt and what we would take apart or what we like or what we don't like.
Well,
Right?
actually, looking at these projects, this is,
Yeah.
I think, probably the best question I can ask you guys. Looking at these projects,
Hmm.
what would you do differently or add on what I've done?
First question. I remember us talking about the Dagger L, and you said you really hated the head.
I did.
I
What
also
was it
hated the
about the
head.
head that you hated?
The parts were too small to begin with, right? And
Mhm.
so the way the Dagger L works, it has these two side pieces,
Yes.
and you have to build that, and then you have to
build the outer shell and kind of squeeze it all together.
Mhm.
And my fingers are just too big, right? But the amount of pressure you had to put
Mhm.
is like
Mhm.
if the pegs were slightly off, you would break those pegs, no
Yep.
problem, and not even notice it. For me, right? But I know other people, they may not have had that problem,
The
right?
thing
But
I had
well,
an
I was gonna.
issue with that was just because of the different coloring like the different pieces have to be in different colors.
Mm,
All right, like the sensor has, well, the eye sensor has to be different from, or what I wanted anyway, to be different from the Vulcan cannons at the sides that I think
mm,
they are.
Mhm.
And what sucked about it was that there was an unwanted seam line in
Down
between,
the middle of the head.
right in
Yeah.
the middle of the head.
yeah,
So
they,
if
they they could have done that
that
a
was
little
really
better,
bad.
right? And on top of that too, that little side antenna,
Yeah.
the damn thing kept falling off. At one
Mhm.
point, I got fed up and glued it in.
Oh
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
for
I
sure.
glued it into.
Uh,
Like
but
that's the thing. What I dislike about the head, because actually it's kind of has an interesting proportion. It feels a little too small for the body, but it actually works. And there's
Mhm.
some of the angles, and you start looking at it. If you there's like from Battle of Planets, no, from Grandizer,
Mhm.
the pilot of the Grandizer. His helm is very similar to that.
Mhm.
And the thing I don't like about that head are those sides gun or whatever they are, just sort of square looking dopey things. I'm actually going to cut them off because of course I'm still working on one. I'm gonna or basically I'll change them somehow. I'll keep the pegs and whatnot, but
Mhm.
the outer parts are I'm gonna change.
Mhm.
But the head itself. So I thought you actually hated it because of the look. I didn't realize it was just the it was so
The
hard to
build,
work with.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I actually
but that's my
find
gripe with all HGs. So
no.
Oh, I also like the fact how you hid the seam line for the leg by just adding more seam by adding
yeah,
panel lines. I'm like that.
I was like, oh no, that's not gonna stay hidden that
Actually,
way.
Oh
put the picture
man.
back, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So right there, if you take a look at the bell bottom legs, if you take a look at the side, that's actually
Yeah, yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
be one piece.
and it's stupid
Right?
how they made that piece
It
too,
is.
because
It is very
like they
very
tried to
difficult
make
to
it
work with.
flush. No, don't
Yep.
do that,
No.
Yeah.
right? Or at least do it, but do it to the ankle,
Yeah.
not to the thing.
It was a
So what
really
I
crappy
saw,
design.
right, is it doesn't show very well, but I
Mhm.
think I kind of did it on purpose.
Mhm.
But the whole kit is using regular white,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
those legs are using a gray white,
Yes.
Mm.
right? So it does purposely show as a different color if you see it in person,
Yeah. Gray
Yep.
white
right?
versus
But
the
it
actual gray.
shows like it's supposed to be like that,
Yeah.
Yep.
right? And I was just like, yeah, like, because I think you would pull that issue up pretty soon after you started on the Kid Adrian. I
Yeah.
was
Yep.
like, okay, that's something I got to be aware of.
I
When I
complained
switched
about it right away.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna make that effect.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it like I'm not gonna try and hide it like it's
Yeah.
funny.
It's good. It's good. You did a good
So
job.
you scribed it a little bit more, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well. So I have a 0.2
Mhm.
chisel, and I just pretty much took pieces, put them back together, and held them tight, and then put a panel line through.
Ah. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So it still subtly looked decently like a panel line, not like I went and chalked in a line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. The one thing that it actually has the kit has a structural design for it
Yes.
with
Yeah.
the legs.
Being too far forward or behind,
they're way
right?
too far forward. I actually chopped off my hips to move them back and switch. It's almost like 2 millimeters, and so especially if you start putting in a larger backpack, it's so back heavy that the whole thing starts falling over. And it just doesn't look like, the spine should lead straight through to the middle of the legs and not just be sort of like it's like spine and legs. It's like this. Anyway, it's silly.
I don't know how I made that work because with mine I put a giant backpack on it, right?
I
So
think
that's
that,
what's
well,
Lean forward.
I believe that's
that's-
actually part of the design for it because the Dagger L was meant to put on striker packs, right? the
Yeah.
leg being that way might be to compensate for the weight somehow.
So that backpack isn't a striker design backpack
Yeah,
because it
yeah,
doesn't have a peg. It has
yeah,
a female end,
yeah,
right? So I had to put a peg in there.
yeah.
And funny enough, the runners that the Dagger L had
It
was
fits
the right
perfect.
size
Yeah,
for it. Yeah.
Well, no, that's intentional. The all the runners on Bandai kits
or
are
point 3.
3 millimeter,
Yeah,
and so are all the pegs, so you can always just use
Yeah.
those. So.
what else?
So
Yeah,
so
sorry.
that backpack could turn like full like 360,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because it fell just the other day because I had it in a box,
Uh-huh.
and now it's in my hangar just
Mhm.
because, yeah, reasons I don't know. I have no. I
That's
don't know
where
what
it
to
should
put
be.
it in. So it's in there now. But when it was in the box, it fell over, and when I picked it up, the backpack was kind of like on a complete 45.
Oh jeez.
But yeah, it's like, all right, well, you're not standing, in any action poses. You're just gonna be standing still then.
One.
Actually, in terms of the colors that you were using on there,
Mhm.
uh, the quad rocket launcher on the left shoulder, is
It was
that gray or is that silver or what? What are the colors? Because it's kind of hard to tell. And so
so.
the
I
gun is.
I actually have the color here. Hold on
Mm.
1 second.
Okay, I'm just gonna keep the picture on until.
So, Mr. Color
Mm-hmm.
or Mr. Super Metallic,
Yes,
that,
Mhm.
I remember those.
right? Yeah. So I was able to grab
Do
one.
the hand thing.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah.
Is it better now? I'm going up.
No,
I'm going up.
Yeah,
Mr.
it's
Super
okay.
Metallic, which one?
It's the one that I have in my hand.
Yes.
What's it called?
It's SM04.
Okay.
Super stainless.
Okay.
Yes, there you go.
Right. So when I took those pictures,
Yeah.
Dagger was probably 90% done because I then went in and painted a lot more.
Are you doing
Details
some
of the
panel
gun.
lining as well?
Hmm?
Did you do any panel lining, especially on the parts?
No, I haven't. I still haven't. Like that's the thing. Like I made it enough to take pictures of, not finished, but
Yeah.
good enough.
Yeah.
And that besides putting details on the gun, and I think some on that rocket launcher. So for instance, I painted the individual rockets.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
that's
and I
good.
painted
Yeah.
a little bit in the back.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I wanted to do panel lining, but I was like, I gotta clear coat this thing first.
Oh,
And I was just
yeah.
like, but then that means I gotta, put the rubberized plastic on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
I don't feel like it.
Fair enough.
So
Um.
in a,
Yeah.
That's
9%.
legitimate burnout because when you and I know we know that you were not a huge fan of the kit, so
Mhm.
at least you did it in a sense.
Yeah.
That's,
well, it's still in a state where I can continue doing it, right? And
Uh-huh.
maybe I might because like as I told Adrian, I have plans to put this in a diorama,
Mhm.
right? Because I for some reason I've accumulated over the last year a lot of HGs, even though I don't like them. So I gotta find something to do with them. So yeah, there's a diorama that potentially I might put them in.
Bandai HG game is strong.
No, it's too strong, man. It's too like they're making all the desirable kits.
Yeah.
All the desirable. But
never the pale rider in MG. We'll
that
get
is
there.
actually a topic for another thing if we get there.
Right session.
Get to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, potential projects, right?
Mhm.
But for the color scheme, I had bought the exam system blue.
Mhm. That's a good blue.
There's two blues, a dark blue and a light blue. I had bought the light blue.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what? They come in a large container,
Mhm.
right? For Mr. Color. I was like, I have excess, so let me use that.
Yeah.
So blue and white. And then I was able to try doing the for the red that you're seeing. I was
Yeah.
able to try because this is my first time doing it. The gold base with red clear.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then like I was able to do certain things that I wouldn't do normally on another kit. So for instance, with the L Dagger, the front leg skirts are plain.
Yeah.
And because of that issue you pointed out where you found the legs were a little bit too far forward and whatnot, I was like, you know what, let me play with the dimensions. So I ended up adding stuff to it to make it build out more.
Yep.
Right? So it looks like want to say an equal looking unit front and back,
Hmm.
right? But that's because I didn't want to chop the legs and move the
Yeah.
joints and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because this was not a kit I wanted to spend that time on.
Yeah.
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 This honestly is just a big test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for a bunch of people, with this particular kit was that we were all gung ho on oh, this is like a simple kit, you can army build with it, and then right after that we were like, this was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Well, I know you had really high hopes for it because of like what you tried to do,
Yeah.
right? I think it turned out really nice.
Thank you.
Especially with
Thank you.
your paint scheme.
Thank you. Thank
Right.
you.
But it's just, I think you were at that point I was at where it was just like, man, the effort that I put into this thing, I don't know
Yeah.
if it was worth it.
I know.
The thing is, like, I hit that point much sooner.
Oh yeah.
Actually, at the end when we do a round,
Mhm.
let's discuss the time we make this.
Oh.
I know, Matt, you're still in the gray when it comes to that.
Yeah, no, mine is on my table in pieces, being chopped up, sewn up. So,
I was done in a month. I actually had it on stream, done on stream. So I was like, okay.
Nice.
So
I
that
think I took a little longer.
yeah. So that probably took 18. That took probably 36 hours to do.
wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
And wasn't
I was
that
doing
many
other
pieces?
stuff too, but
Yeah, but
I was
the
usually able to work on them on the weekends.
yeah,
That's my problem.
yeah, same
Yeah.
here. But it was more the multi-layered like masking that really took a lot of the time, just because of like the head and like the legs and all that stuff, right?
That's something I can commend you for, man, because I don't have the patience for that. Multi-layer masking. Like, if you look at my kit, right, everything was part separated.
Yeah.
That was the only way I was gonna paint it.
I think the hardest one was the Sisquid that I had to do, where it had 4 different colors on just the leg alone. Right? And it was like in 2 different pieces, so in order to get rid of the seam lines, I needed to also like mask off the SDCS inner frame, put that on, and then do several multi-layered maskings on the leg itself. That took like a week to do both legs. Stupid.
hey,
Yeah.
that's what we do to make things pretty.
Yeah. I'm proud of it though. That's good.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of which, you've got
Yeah.
some builds in front.
So let me just skip by. So the only one I'm bringing out would be the Delta Chi. I like this kit a lot, but its shield really sucks.
It's way too heavy.
Oh yeah, this thing is a big boy.
Way
He's
too
like
heavy.
a small MG by itself. It's an yeah.
And I think with this guy, I actually like him a lot more in his plain form.
Yes, that's what
Yeah.
I keep him in right now. I don't know if you can see by the pictures. I fucked up, or sorry, I screwed up on the head a lot, and it's like he looks like a burn victim on the side of his face. But this was one of my first attempts at actually doing a my own personal color scheme, and there's a lot more red than what my current builds have.
Mm. Oh, let's
Now, does
pull
this
that
mean
up.
that pretty much every custom you're gonna do is gonna be like gray and purple?
Yeah, pretty much. Brand recognition, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
And you don't have to buy as much paint.
that too. Well, to keep that like, I really like
You know,
that.
just to mess with you,
Yeah,
one day I'm gonna go to our model shop
yeah.
and just buy all the purple and gray,
Gray, yeah.
Not the gray. The gray. The
There's
gray.
so
I
many
really need.
shades.
and then I will have to be a distributor.
Oh man! So one of the things that I learned later on what to do with builds like this is the wing parts. They were just like masked off for a design, but I think nowadays I would probably do a panel line, like scribe a panel line on, just so it looks a lot better and like you can see the clear difference between the color separation. So that's one thing I would do.
It also helps with masking when you do that. If you're under especially the
Exactly,
settings.
exactly, yeah. I actually have it right here. And then the only other thing I would probably do is the funnel. The two big funnels is wasn't glued together properly. So that's the only other gripe I had with it. Oh no! And then the wings.
Pardon me taking off. I'm gonna go grab mine because it's just over here.
The Delta Chi or the? But yeah, and the other thing I did with it too was the I reverse washed the black on the shield.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, it's a good kit. It's just like I wouldn't recommend this kit for beginners. Is all.
There's a lot of like wings and like
Yeah.
little wings and little details and little scoops and hoods.
Yeah,
and whatnot in that kit.
this
It's
took a
really
long
cool.
time.
It's really cool, but it's like the attentions that you have to do to all of it.
Yeah.
And it's a transforming kit, and that's my own silliness. I'm not a big fan of.
Well, it's a parts forming kit though.
I know.
So
but
it's a lot
still,
better than
It's
the
I'd
Zeta.
rather have like one mode in a kit and then the other mode. And that's two kits
As a
to build,
separate kit,
but
yeah.
the proportions are going to be better. It's going to look better. It's going to hold together better.
You know what? Like with what it is, it actually does like go together pretty well, right? I don't know if you can. There we go. There. I think. Anyway. Well, you can actually.
Focus.
Yeah, there we go. You can see it right there. This is what I usually keep it in. Right.
Yeah.
And of course, I deepen the purple. The gray I'd keep the same. I'll use a little bit less red. But yeah, you could tell like how compared to my current builds, like where I was going with this.
Yep.
So.
No, for sure.
So yeah, what would you guys do? What would you guys do with this?
So, I mean, honestly, I think what you did was great. The only one thing I would have done, and this is where we differ.
Yep.
As builders.
Yep.
Is I like having when it comes to colors.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you have the gray and the purple.
Yeah.
I can tell.
Yeah.
But for me, I like to have them more prominent.
Mm.
Right. So your way of building though is you have that gray into everything, right? And I like that look.
Yeah.
But for me, I would have them, at a darker tone where
just to like for
back.
more separation,
Exactly.
Right? Just to
That's my way of building.
No,
this.
definitely.
Criticism, it's more like a
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what you did, I like it. I like it.
Thank you.
In the plain mode,
Mm-hmm.
the other colors disappear more. It's mostly gray.
Yes.
And then potentially bringing in a darker gray tone, because there is the black, because that's a dark like charcoal gray that you see in some parts, but so much of it is hidden now.
Yes. So with this one is I actually stopped using black on my paint jobs now. I would just use a really, really dark gray just to, make everything flow together. This one was just 3 different colors, just with the one red, or actually 4 different colors, sorry. The black, the red, the gray, and then the purple, right?
And I guess the gun was a 5th color, but the gun's not gun's separate.
Yeah, so with color schemes, what I tend to do is I would keep the weapons as mostly metallic, unless they have some sort of outer armor. And the outer armor usually then I would put like as a separate flat color as well.
Yeah.
Right, just so that you can, and with the inner frame, of course, is going to be metallic, right? So there's more depth in the finishes, right? So you can see more of a contrast between what's metal and what's just like plating and what's an optical lens. So I rarely use a gloss on my builds. Yeah, unless it's for like eye lens or something.
Well, it just takes so much polishing and buffing and whatever. It's just
Yeah,
not worth it.
I'm in the position now that I like the way that the Tamiya, what was it, super clear looks. Where it's not a gloss, it's I actually have it right here.
Yeah.
It's the Mr. Super Smooth Clear.
Mm.
Yes,
I
yes,
actually like
that's
the way this looks now because it's not as matte as I thought it was gonna be,
Yeah.
it's
right? And
It's
it's
satiny.
yes, that's exactly
yeah.
what it
So
is.
it's not.
So
It doesn't dull it to that point.
GX114.
Yeah. You see, with me, I just use the spray can just
Yeah.
because I do it in like leg chunks.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
instance, like I'll take the leg off and I'll put it in, rotate it,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to Mr. Adrian, where he'll take the individual parts and have it all neat and smooth looking, and
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I'm lazy.
Well,
That
I'm
like
also in a condo, so I can't use it right.
uh,
With the super smooth though, it actually is the formula for the flat. The only thing is, I believe it's the finish is just a gloss, sort of a gloss. Sorry, like I wouldn't say gloss. Sorry, it's a more flatter type of matte, right? Like a smoother type of matte. That's exactly what it is. It's a
yeah.
smooth matte.
Because from what I found, the regular mats they
Mhm.
actually look powdery.
Yes, it's a tech.
Right.
There's a texture to it,
Yeah.
right?
And then when you compare it to this actually looks 10 times better.
Oh yeah.
And what I found is if you put this on gloss, it
Mhm.
actually has a nice finish to it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, okay, I don't really have anything that will show properly,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe this will work. Can you see the color difference? You have a
Little bit.
light,
Or do
light
the hand
purple.
thing again.
You have a light purple
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a dark purple. That
Mhm.
dark purple was Aurora purple. from
Yes.
Moto,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And it was really shiny,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
Then when I put the Mr. Smooth Clear on it,
Yeah.
it actually turned into like it's not shiny anymore, but it's like a rich purple.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that. That
Mhm.
looked really good.
When you're looking at it, is there a slight anodized kind of look to it, or not really? Because I can't tell.
Okay, so it looks like titanium.
Mhm.
You know how
Yeah.
titanium has like a brushed but yet
Mhm.
matte finish to it?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like, but in whatever color you put it on. That's originally shiny.
Mm-hmm. So that's actually what I used for all my weapons and inner frame parts,
Mm.
right? So that's because with what I have with all the like metal stuff, I don't want it to be like really shiny and glossy, but at the same time, I don't want to put it as the same. We'll go back to it. I don't want it to go into the same finish as the outer armor pieces, because I still want it to shine a little bit, but at the same time, like the smoothness of that finish helps the reflection of the light as well, right?
Yeah, you can see it, especially in the hand, the left hand of
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. And so
Yeah,
the
close up.
finish actually helps give both pieces of armor and inner frame more contrast to each other.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why I use that one.
So this is me being lazy, but what I try and do is for the inner frame, I'll use different grays
Yeah.
and silvers and whatnot.
Yeah.
And for the actual armor, I'll use another silver and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because again, my lazy way of doing it is painting it all individually, assembling it, and then I'll do the clear on it.
Yeah.
Clear, and then
But what about,
panel
like,
lining, and
you know,
then
do you move the arms and especially legs to get, like, under the
like
skirt
the
or
joints and whatnot.
Yeah.
So with that, it's all unique circumstances. Like, so if I know this kit's gonna be a statue, then I don't really bother with that. But if it's one that I will pose, then I'll take apart the joints and spray those separate.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
So for instance, I did. You guys saw that Dragon Ball Z diorama.
The one with
But
Brawly?
those joints, yeah. But those joints, because it's all exposed, because they're all technically skin, right?
Yeah.
I ended up pulling apart all the joints and spraying that separate,
Mm.
right? Just because of the reposability.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I finally put it into the pose, I'm like, this is not gonna move anymore. So what I did was, and you'll probably notice it now that I told you,
Mhm.
but I used the normal flat
Yeah.
clear
Yeah.
on Brawly,
Yeah.
but the smooth clear on both Vegeta and Goku.
Ah.
So they look significantly more clean. The
Yeah.
reason why I did that is because when it came to the texture tones,
Yeah.
right, I didn't want them to be as dirty as Brawly, because he has deeper muscles,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And the clear or the flat clear when you
Yeah.
when you do the powder shading to it,
Mm-hmm.
right? The pastel shading to it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that flat clear catches it a lot better than the clear or the smooth clear.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah, yeah.
See,
So that's
Yeah.
oh,
Oh, no,
when you're talking about shooting clear and whatnot, I have
Mhm.
everything on sticks already. So I
Oh.
basically go through all the painting stages up to the top, the first top coat, like pre-weathering,
Yeah.
clear,
Yeah.
or gloss on the sticks. I then assemble it and start doing the weathering on the kit as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much. So I can see, and it's especially when you try to do some streaks or whatever from one part to another,
Mm-hmm.
which also sometimes can limit the posability, because if it's like there's a streak going through here, then it goes to the
Yeah,
chin,
it won't
and
go
then
up
you
like
move it, and
that.
it's like, so
Yeah.
that's,
Well,
you
then,
gotta
yeah.
be careful with that.
Yeah.
But afterwards, because I don't post them that much,
Mm-hmm.
very often I will actually not even do a final coat after I do the weathering.
Hmm.
So it's especially if I use the enamel washes and all the like the AK and whatever and MIG and whatnot, because usually I'll coat every surface of the kit, so it kind of already gets a little bit of that gloss, and you can smear it and smudge it a bit to make it less glossy,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know, it all depends, I guess, on the final look I want to achieve. Like if it's not gonna be that weathered, I'll probably would do another top coat afterwards.
Speaking of weathered builds, Matt,
Oh,
Yes.
okay,
let's
yes.
take a look at what you did.
Yeah, and in a tease for this podcast, I kept talking about Cold War tanks, and yeah, so that is a actually Argentinian T-70. It's a basically Soviet T-72 tank, and way back, Panda had the Team Leo build, where a lot of us actually met for or started hanging out more, because we had met earlier, but we really started hanging out because of that Leo build.
Where did you
And
guys hang out? No one told me.
no,
Oh, so much is coming out this podcast.
well, yeah, sorry, but yeah. Anyway, the idea I had for my Leo, and then we had sort of this army group that we, or anyway, platoon that we put together. I wanted to use the wow, I can't speak English because I didn't sleep as usual. But anyway, the armor plating, or the reactive armor plates that are on the T-72, I wanted to stick on the Leo, and it's actually a Leo kit bashed with a Hymock.
Yes.
Those are the Hymock legs, and there's some other parts and whatever. And especially his backpack is made up mostly of Hymock parts. But the gun itself is actually an aluminum, and it's ridiculously huge, because it's a 1/35th scale aluminum barrel for a like a regular tank kit. And I really wanted to use those reactive armor plates. So that's the whole bit with the Cold War tanks. Anyway, but if we can go to the next picture.
Yeah.
The
Oops.
where I was
Oh, there we go.
I think that's probably it's so as a close up, you can see that each of the reactive armor plates has a little 4 little rivet heads, because normally they'd be actually screwed into the tank and whatever. Now there's just their special attachments. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But and there are actually, I want to get into the tools and some of the things that I ended up doing, and I know Jason uses some of this stuff, especially the chopper. And the biggest issue, the biggest issue I was having is making sure that all the plates were the exact same size. So I was able to make strips. I guess if we go to the next picture.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
the I was going to use. You can see up in the top. There's the chopper. It's a little guillotine thing that you can actually set up in the corner there. You can see a little metal plate that allows you to adjust how thick
Yeah, you
the
set
cut is
up a
going to
jig.
be.
Mhm.
And I was able to make straight strips of plot plate, and it's just 1 millimeter plot plate, and I just kept chopping. Um, the next issue I had was how to make sure that the rivets were in the exact same place on every single
Hmm.
um, plate. And I created a jig out of that's a wave sliding T-square, which is
Mhm.
usually used to create very similar. You can use it on the front side or the back side of the slide. Actually, I'm sure
Mhm.
there's many different
Yep.
positions you can put it in, but you're able to measure out and cut very specific sizes of plot plate strips. And anyway, it's a very handy tool.
Mhm.
But I was basically just using it to hold the jig. That was that little chunky bit at the on the bottom
Yeah.
of
The
picture.
white piece.
Yeah, and I had a jeweler's punch set that you can see that all,
Yeah.
and it has a little. Those I think are used to hold the jewels in a watch, I
Mhm.
think, or something. Anyway, they have a little dimple, and if you press them in, it makes a rivet. Yay!
Yeah.
So I would just put the plate into the jig, put the two rivets in, flip the plate around, put the other two rivets in, and then I did that on I think 40 or
Oh,
so of those little
jeez.
things. It was a pain. I didn't end up using them all, but
Nice. Now you have some for future use.
yeah. Though the one thing that I would definitely change, and of course I was late with this build. I didn't make it for the actual Leo build itself. I think I brought the kit in like a month late.
Oh.
But I've got it here though. It's kind of doesn't. It needs to stand to really hold it together. But those
Decals.
are now they feel a bit big on it. Actually, feel huge on it. They would be the right size on a 1/35th scale tank,
Mhm.
and I wish that I had made them much smaller. So, like in front of the thigh, there are 4 plates. That should have been probably 9 plates, or maybe even 16. It still makes some sense, but
Mhm.
the other thing that I pretty much always do with my kits, I magnetize the feet.
Mhm.
And actually, well, you can see how this is before the washing process. You can see how ridiculously large that gun is.
Yeah.
Well, part of the contest was there was a prize for the most guns or most weapons on
Yeah.
the wheel, and I just sort of went with the biggest gun.
Somebody put like 30 rockets or something, or it was
Yeah,
something
guns and-
ridiculous.
Simon did quite a number.
Simon's the one with the treads, right? With the
Yeah,
caterpillar tracks.
and it was Paul. I can't. Someone
Paul
else
Lee?
did it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he did the one with treads too, and I think he had just a couple more or 3
Yeah.
more weapons, and he won the thing. But
Yeah.
they were both.
Well, you guys won the whole thing anyway.
Yeah. Well, I sort of won post afterwards, but yeah, but our team, we had the most
Cohesive.
unified look.
Yeah.
So we stuck to a very specific paint scheme. And
Yeah.
So
That's good. That's good.
And
Turn to the next one.
so actually, if you could go back to the pictures.
Yeah.
So I have magnetized the feet, and you can see that I actually put magnets underneath the sheet of flat plate,
Yeah.
and that allowed me to just sort of let the Leo hang out and bend over, and I could just actually keep it on standing, and I could pose it in any way,
Nice.
and then apply the enamels to it. And you can see that that's actually a little cookie tin in painted black. I take to shows, and I use that cookie tin for everything I bring. I don't like action stands as much because they I don't know, they look more toy-like. So I basically just attach my kit to the cookie tin,
Mhm.
and it looks like a pedestal or whatever. It looks,
Yeah.
it's like a presentation thing.
Exactly. No,
And
that's a good idea.
magnetizing
Very
feet
good
has
idea.
has made my life a lot easier. I really like doing it. So,
Hmm.
I love how one of your practice poses is the JoJo pose.
yeah.
Well then,
Well, it just happens
I
that
I blame
way. But
Wacky for that.
yes,
I
it's just
always
this
blame
was just
Wacky.
in the middle of me applying, because this is just I was just globbing on the enamel wash, which later I would
Mhm.
use the thinner
Yeah.
to sort of streak more and fiddle with. But yeah,
That's good.
yeah, it was a fun build.
Mhm.
I wish I also had more time to do something slightly different with the gun backpack, which actually is also magnetized,
Oh.
and it's all pretty much almost entirely Heimbach or parts of the Heimbach,
Mhm.
and but it is a little clunky. Like the I wanted to give it motion. Or actually, I needed to, because I needed to find a balance point where this thing, because the aluminum barrel is almost as heavy as the entire kit.
Oh jeez.
Because it's a solid rod of aluminum that goes from here, like it goes somewhere in the
Uh-huh.
middle of this thing, all the way out.
Uh-huh.
So
Follower.
yeah, so it's chunky. So I actually, in the back here, I had some lead weights, which
Mhm.
I smoothed. Look, that's not good. That just fell into my cereal bowl.
Oh no.
So your way to counterbalance it was to add more weights.
Yes, add more weight to the back of the gun. But cereal. Actually, I wonder what will happen, because this is now, this was from 2018, so I don't think, and I'm not too worried. It's more weathering.
Ugh.
So Matt, have like, given the choice, are you more of a I'll weather all my kits kind of guy, or I'll do straight, clean bills, or
Definitely more towards weathering, but very subtle weathering.
Mm.
And but I do have, like, I have all kinds of plans for super gloss kits and glossy kits as well. I've got a whole bunch of AOZ kits that I want to do.
Mhm.
And if anyone, if folks, because I know you guys have seen the AOZ magazines or books
Mhm.
that show, there was sort of like a transitional period where a lot of the pictures showed the blue as almost a metallic glossy look to it.
Mhm.
And I want to do that for all my AOZ kits, to have the blue as actually a metallic. So
Okay.
so that's going to be kind of shiny.
Okay.
I definitely, there's one color that I like. Older cars and especially modded cars, resto mods and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And a fairly popular color is they call it root beer, but it's some kind of it's basically, it's like a clear brown with a
Mhm.
lot of flake in it.
Okay.
And what I want to do is take a fairly flaky or really with metallic bits. Like, some of the metallics are very smooth, and
Mhm.
some are very
Oh,
hard,
try rough
coarse.
silver. Rough silver, I believe.
There's a bunch of rough golds as well.
Yeah.
So I wanna grab that kind of rough gold,
Mhm.
put an orange clear on it,
Okay.
then put a brown clear that has I've actually got the pearl powder. It's a very fine pearl powder. It's a yellow pearl powder that gives a bit of, like, the Mr. Cliff crystal colors that give that
Yes.
sheen.
Yeah.
So that's what that powder does. So
Okay.
in the brown, there's going to be that yellow sheen,
Mhm.
and depending on what it looks like, I might do another brown clear on top of that without the sheen, unless I actually should do the reverse. I think the sheen will probably have to be on the outside, but basically do multiple clear levels, clear layers to give that very deep look, and hopefully that'll give a really sort of scintillating, bubbling root beer look. So
Okay.
I might actually try that on a bear brick first. It's
Yes.
small and easy to do, and it's very curvy. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out the proper way how to use Mr. Crystal colors,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
to modify existing colors.
Yeah. So, what I found was actually is another one of my older builds, and another one of our local contests was the Red Passion contest, like years and years ago. It was like 2017 or 16. That was actually when I first met Tristan, but we needed to pick something like red, white, or pink, and then use that as our primary color for this contest, right? And so I picked he said you can use any licensed kit, so I was like, okay, let's do something different. So I pulled out a Jeep Wrangler from Revell, and I painted it up in the metallic peach, and I went over it with a Mr. Crystal Clear blue. So it's like really contrasting, right? So when you look at it head on onto the color itself, you don't see any difference. But when you actually move the piece and you get light reflecting off it on an angle, you'll actually get to see a hue of blue over the existing peach color.
See, that's what I want to try and do. Like, like what did you do? You just like, what? Not even a hard coat, just like a mist coat.
No, I did some. I used it. What I did was I treated it like it was top coat, pretty much. It's pretty much a top coat with little bits in it. That's all it is. The Mr. Color.
There's always testing, Jason. You just get a bunch of spoons or an old toy or something. But what it comes down to really is how much of it you want to apply to your. That's really the only thing you'd have to worry about, because all of the effect comes from what you use as a base.
Yeah.
Normally they say use black or white, but if you want to use the same color, say like red on red, you'll get a richer feel. Or as you heard here, you have some reddish and you use blue on top, and it gives you a more of a contrasting look. But it's not contrasting; it's something else. It's an interesting effect.
Yeah.
So you can take a piece of, though ideally it would be curved, not just a flat plate, a flat piece of plate. You can
spoon it up,
it off, and do white, black, red, yellow, blue, whatever, and then do heavy application, medium application, and light application. And on that just one piece, you'll see exactly what it's capable of.
So let me show you a test I did, if I can find it. Okay, there we go. So, oh boy. So this was the color that I had originally.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, okay, you know what? I got the Mr. Crystal with the pearl purple in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, let me do a couple coats of that. This is what it came out as.
Oh, that's interesting.
It kind of made it. Is it very white-ish?
It's more white. It looks like the base was white, and I put crystal purple on that because I painted
was
this
that a
color
heavy
both sides.
coat?
It was fairly heavy.
Okay.
That might be why.
So that's why I'm thinking like mist coat, and then Adrian said no, you use it as like you would gloss, or like top coat, right? So that would just be like one pass, maybe two pass.
Yeah.
Right.
Like my plan for the Draci, or the I guess Bandai Draci, is exactly that. I'm gonna paint it white and black in different areas, and I'm just covering the whole thing in the blue Mr. Crystal.
It's like a form of modulation.
Yep. But it should. My hope is that the white, because when you do it works really well on whites, because it then just shows the pearl effect, that pearlescent glow. Because the suspension of I'm pretty sure that the pearls are suspended in clear. There's no added, white or whatever.
No pigment. It's just the thing.
The spoon got covered, with the with so that whitishness that you're seeing is actually the pearls themselves. So it's a heavy coat of pearls that's now hiding the blue.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Because if you look closely, you can kind of see through it a bit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? But actually, what I've seen people do with the Mr. Crystal is I saw somebody build a wing, the Verka Wing Zero,
Mhm.
and what they did was they primed the whole thing in a Surfacer Black,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and they just went well, Surfacer Black and some parts in Surfacer Gray,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? And they like the leg armor and whatnot that are primarily white.
Mhm.
They just went and took the Mr. Crystal
Mhm.
and just top coated it a couple times,
Yep. Yep.
right?
Yeah. That's
And
the
so
idea.
the black turned to a white, but it was like a dark white with a pearl shine to it, and it
Yeah.
really looked good. I would have never thought to do that.
Mhm. That's actually one of the things that I need to look into with the crystal colors, is because when I'm doing the MG perfectibility, I want to put that as the pearlescent on that white, because I think that would really shine through with a big
Yeah.
piece like that. It would be a really big talking piece, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Very cool. Oh my! It is 1 o'clock,
yes, it
which means
is.
that we're kind of signing off so we can start the virtual build day for GTA.
And we
Mhm.
thought we were gonna have enough content until one.
Yeah, look at us. Because once we start napping,
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah. So thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Jason. I guess thank you mean that. And
You'll see my build tomorrow.
we will see you guys in 2 weeks. When hopefully we will be also doing a draw for the Dagger L raffle. As
Mhm.
long as
We'll be
like
doing
at
that
least
live on
10
stream.
people show up in
Yeah,
the
we could do that.
or show their stuff in the
Mhm.
photo album, I guess.
Mhm.
And yeah, we need at least 10 submissions in the photo album in order for us to do
10
the
non-admin submissions.
yes. So 10 because we're not eligible for the raffle.
I'm only hearing about this now.
Yes. No, but you
So
did hear about it before.
I did, I did.
So
So
anyway,
okay,
thank you for joining us, and I guess we'll see you in 2 weeks, and or in anybody wants to join us in the
build room.
build day. That'll be up in a second, and we'll be posting the link on the GTA page.
Yeah, cool.
All right, take care, guys.
Yeah, we are.